Why does the phrase free beer and the whole idea of free beer mean so much to Kansas?
Well, we had gone to Liberal, Kansas, did a demo tape. We had just a few of them. We sent them off to different people. A friend was living here in New York, and we'd heard that Don Kirshner had a new record label. So it was sent to him so he could deliver it. So we're playing, I think it was in Dodge City, and during a break, the bartender says, "You guys got a phone call?" And he was like, "Well, yeah, hi, this is Wally Gold from Don Kirshner. We heard your tape, really liked it. I'd like to come out in a couple weeks and see the band." It's like, okay, what are we gonna do? Well, there was out in the center of Kansas, there was a little town called Ellenwood. That's just a few blocks, nothing near it. And at the time, it's since been torn down, it was an old opera house, the Ellenwood Opera House. And bands would rent the place for $100 or so. So Wally Gold is coming out. How are we going to impress this guy? And how are we going to get people to show up?
Yeah, what if nobody shows up?
Well, yeah, because usually it was like 10 people would show up. Well, what if we advertise, free beer? And so we bought some kegs of beer and was set up there. And so when Wally shows up, many people are in the street that can't get in. The place is packed. Wally probably doesn't know what's going on at all, and calls Don and says, "Oh, there's something really going on here with these guys. People are coming from everywhere. They're here on tractors for the show. They're there for the beer."
Tractors.
But a bunch of young kids came up with a very genius marketing moment.
How did what started out as a small band in high school make it all the way from Topeka to the big time?
Ooh.
The very big time.
We were fortunate to have some great material written. But there's so much incredible luck involved with all this, because there's always somebody better, a faster guitar player, a better guitar player, a better singer. There's so many things. We had a lot of tenacity. We were young enough to not have any fear of what was in front of us, and united enough to just march forward through it all. And so we just kind of kicked down a lot of doors along the way. Now, Topeka being quite isolated, but it was like any other town. There was a radio, and with the British invasion, the town exploded.
So, it was the kind of thing that, as Rich said, things would come at us, and we just used common sense and tried not to implode, because we're just taking these little steps. And here came this contract. We signed the contract. We went to the local IGA and bought barbecue to celebrate, because that's all we could afford. Because up to those 3 years before that, we'd been living on $1 a day. Each guy in the band got $1 every day. So you can imagine going through that when you have this opportunity. You just have to take a minute. Don't be an idiot. Don't blow this. Use some common sense, get yourself signed to where you have an opportunity. And from there, we started, signed with an agency, and we started opening for other bands.
But this gives us an opportunity, and with your permission, I'll turn to Richard.
Sure.
When you were opening for Aerosmith, there is that story that somebody, perhaps you would want to identify somebody, thought that your band was so good that he wanted to pull the plug on at least the singer, so that when Aerosmith came on, they didn't feel challenged. You remember that story?
Oh yeah. Well, Aerosmith, we had done some shows together, and they were becoming popular at a little faster rate, but around the same time. And we had been playing together, and we got along great. We're playing in Kansas now, and this is kind of our turf. But we were still first on the bill, and they were closing the show. We had been told that their singer, which is nothing against him, it's a funny story now, but Steven Tyler, who is, a tremendous rock vocalist, but at the time he had a problem sometimes with the bands going over a little too well. And we were told that sometimes he would come out and unplug the band. So what we did was we ran dummy lines to where he could get to, and we ran our main power to another direction that was hidden. So he came out there to stop our show, and it didn't work, and I guess he got quite upset about it. And our bass player went after him, and there was a confrontation, and it wasn't a good moment. So many bands, young bands in that era, were all very competitive with each other. And now when you see them say, "Hey, how you doing?" It's not that way anymore. But at the time, just follow that. You know, you really wanted to show off what you could do. And there was a lot of camaraderie and energy that got focused into that.
I can't go through the whole list of songs. You've had so many. But let me turn to you, Richard. Tell me the story of Carry On, Wayward Son. How it happened,
Well,
what the process was.
we were in rehearsals to record the album, and the process it's exciting, but it's painful. And so been tearing songs apart and up and down, and the album is basically done now, and we're getting ready to go record. And Carrie was just on a writing streak. I mean, every day just come in, you know, I wrote this last night called The Wall, or it's like, and so you didn't want to turn the tap off, but we were done. And he comes, I've got one more song. And everybody's like, oh, we want to pack up and head to the studio. And he starts playing Wayward Son. So we worked it up a little bit. We went on into the studio then, and as you're in an assembly line fashion, putting together basic tracks with drums and guitars and bass and stuff, finally, okay, we need to start working on that new song. And so we were actually learning it as the tape was rolling pretty much. So the version is probably the first time we ever played it correctly, because we were learning it as we went. Had that song not been written, that was the song that launched Left Overture. That was the song that made our career.
Let me ask you about The Wall.
The Wall was one of those songs that was in the middle of Carrie writing Left Overture. It was a time for Carrie that, in writing songs that, again, if he was sitting here, he would tell you, has never come back to him. That was a time when every day he was walking in with some of the best music, whether it was our band or not, contemporary, you know, rock music that's ever been written, and it was every day. And these were extremely complicated songs. I mean, you know, Cheyenne Anthem, Miracles Out of Nowhere, Carry On Wayward Son. You know, the songs that you just don't kind of knock out in an evening, but he was. So, you know, when The Wall came, I just remember everybody kind of just stopping in our rehearsals, and I remember it was always me, Rich, and Dave. We kind of, as the kind of the rhythm section, we kind of said, oh, we just kind of looked at each other and went, this is really something.
And Ronnie, when you first asked to sing the song, did that sort of raise the hair on the back of your neck saying, listen?
That was the first song I asked him to sing.
Yeah.
When you come down, be sure and to sing
first
The
song
Wall.
at rehearsal.
That's what we wanted to hear him sing, because that was top of the
Talk
line.
about pressure.
No pressure. It's just, it's such a song with such deep meaning and emotion, and Steve just brought it to the bank with the emotion that he just inflicted into that song is amazing. And it's very apparent the impression it's left on Kansas fans, because when we're doing that song, no matter where I look in the audience, I'm seeing people sing those lyrics, and it's just got an intensity to it